Let's start with chords. This chord progression is G minor, F major, D minor, and F major once again. A really simple chord progression, but we can add more width and character with these middle notes, putting them one octave above, just like that. Adding a ton of reverb to turn these chords into a pad. Using a well-known reverb plugins like Valhalla Supermassive and Valhalla Shimmer, both are great in terms of making deep and long-tailed reverb. Another VST I would recommend is Portal, which is also amazing for creating pads and atmospherics. An interesting way to spice up your chords is to layer them with another pad, but these pads should have a certain contrast to them. First one that I showed you is made in Vital, with a lot of shimmering high-end, which is achieved due to a lot of unison on these wavetables, and some multiband compression in the effects section. And the second one is clean and more melancholic, and here I used a standard Loving the Sign faceplant preset. Together these pads create this in the middle feel, adding some uncertainty to the sound. And in the second part you can add an instrument like violin from BBC Orchestra on the background, which will elevate your sound, making it a little bit more complex, again using the same chord progression. Writing good melodies is challenging, and in Ambient DNB its purpose of hooking a listener and spicing up a repetitive chord and pad layer. So in here I decided to have two layers for melody in the first part and a completely different melody in the second part of the track. First layer smoothly fades into the first hook and kinda lingers in the back. Basically it's a 4-bar loop fading in and out, having these half of a bar gaps, so we would have some call and response action. So this will be our call melody, and this one will be our response melody, filling those half of a bar gaps in the first melody. And this block is brighter and is a great contrast to the first layer. Both of them are made in Serum. First one is screechy and uses a triangle wave and a basic mini with a lot of unison, and using some unique flanger filter connected to LFO for more movement. And the second block is more melodic, using two sine waves with a lot of delay and chorus, and it's from Free Unwave collection, using some Valhalla Supermassive here as well for some dreamy reverb undertone. And in the second part there is a full-on high bass arpeggio melody, using some 1 semitone steps to add this uncertainty to this melody. Using here Serum as well, also using Valhalla Supermassive, and also adding some shaper box for panning from one ear to another. Well, in terms of using drums, instead of using the same breaks and loops, you can combine several different patterns and samples to create something unique. At first we have a basic DNB kick and snare structure, some different snare hits here to make every second hit a bit different. And to add some rhythmic element to your drums, you can take a top drum loop or a percussive loop. But if you don't have one, you can simply take a break of your choice and cut all the lows and mids with EQ, so you would leave some space for your kicks and snares, but still leave all percussive elements from your break. Cutting this top drum loop to create the stutters will also add a unique dynamic to your drums. And just cutting all the top drum loops in the end of 4 or 8 bar loop and add a completely different drum break bit. This might also add some variety to the track. And layering it all with another break, like a classic Amen, can bring more juice to the overall drum pattern. But that's not all, because I highly recommend to try using unique distortion on your drums, like this free VST Crush. I used the crunchy tremolo preset, and it heavily saturated and distorted high end, which made this drum loop fuller and much punchier in the overall mix. It just adds so much flavor to your drums. Now talking about bass, usually in ambient DNB it's something really simple, like this Reese bass for example, but even a Reese bass can be a little more complex and a little unique. Here's an example in Serum, using analog signs here, FMing from A to B, adding some sub 2 octaves lower, and in effects adding harsh 0 square distortion, some dimension to make bass wider, and then compressing it with OTT. This will make this bass as noisy as a triangle shaped one, but still will have a different texture and just feel not as overused. Whatever you decide to add into your arrangement, 2 or 3 hooks, it will still be pretty simple. An intro, a hook, a bridge, a second hook, and an outro in this case. But transitioning is what important here. In the intro you can use a portal preset or just use a standard LFO to automate and kinda fade out these chords into full sound. Leaving some space for drums in the main part, just fading in a top drum loop and these stutters by the end of the intro section. It's not a lot, but it's needed to make a drop more unexpected and powerful, bringing in the bass and saturated drums at the same time. In the bridge section you can add any instrument you like to create a melodic transition, in this case a piano in the same G minor scale with a lot of reverb and delay. And in the outro you can just shut down all of the instruments and leave just one. Like here I only left the BBC orchestra violin that I talked about earlier, which made this outro much more melodic and really an opposite to an intro or bridge section. And that's it. These are just a couple of ideas for your ambient DNB track. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section, I will definitely answer them. Thank you for watching, keep making your own sound, and bye.